All right, we're back with Eric Fine from Patriot Law Firm. We're doing a series where we're just tackling issues that can change lives, like DUI, drug charges, assault, probation violations, etc., so that you have the knowledge and tools to protect yourself and the people that you love. So let's dive right in. We are going to be talking about assault.
Okay.
So we're going to be looking at what are assault charges, what kind of degrees of severity are there, and then what kind of strategies do you have for defense? So the first thing, let's tackle the difference between assault and battery in Alabama law.
Okay. Alabama really does not differentiate between assault and battery. That's more in the realm of tort.
Oh, okay.
And which is a great question. An assault would be in the world of torts. Okay, it would be like a threat, and the battery would be then the touching.
Oh, so the assault is just the threat of the action.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in the criminal code, assault, its severity is really looked at upon by how was the assault done? Meaning, was there an implement like a baseball bat, a gun, a crowbar, a knife, or just a fist or a hand? Okay. Also, the other thing that would determine what kind of assault, whether it be a misdemeanor or a felony, we have assaults A, B, and C.
Okay.
Or assault first degree, second degree, third degree.
Okay.
First degree is more serious than second degree, and second degree is more serious than third degree. And then among those misdemeanors, because assault third is a misdemeanor, so is harassment. Okay. Harassment. So let's start at the lowest and work our way up. Okay. So harassment is a Class A misdemeanor, all right, which means it could get you up to 1 year in jail. Doesn't mean that it will. Could be probation, could be a combination of the two. It's jail, not prison. Okay. Harassment is an unwanted touching. Okay. Pushing, kicking, spitting. Okay. Think of harassment and assault third, which is also a misdemeanor, is basically the same thing with maybe a little bit more injury.
Okay.
Harassment would be, let's say, a woman slaps a man.
Okay.
Okay. That is an unwanted touching. That's considered harassment.
Yeah.
All right. Same scenario. Now the woman slaps him, but hits him in the nose and he's bleeding. Now you got some blood, all right? So now the level of injury has gone up.
Yeah.
Assault third is still a Class A misdemeanor, all right? So really not a whole lot of difference when we're talking assault third, harassment. Which one sounds worse? Well, assault third.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, versus harassment.
Just sounds like you were a little bit bothered.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I was annoyed.
Yep. Now, assault second, all right? Assault second is a felony. And the law says, for example, if you physically harassed or did to a law enforcement officer, that's automatically assault second degree. That's a felony.
Yeah.
Okay? But the law also specifies that there has to be an intent.
Okay.
All right? You can't accidentally assault somebody.
Okay.
Intent is what's known as an indispensable element of a crime.
Right. Okay.
Which is something that lawyers can argue about and can look at. That's why it's important.
Yeah.
You got to call me, okay? Just because you're charged with assault second doesn't mean that's what the charge is going to be by the time we're done.
Yeah.
I could get it down to harassment.
Right.
And you get some probation, walk out the door, lesson learned, nobody's hurt.
Yeah.
Right? So, also a weapon that would be used, okay? Now, a pencil, right? Or that pen that you have. Is that a deadly instrument?
Not right now.
But it could be.
It could be.
Okay. That's the thing. So inherently, that pen is not created or its intended use to be, you know...
It's not supposed to be a weapon.
Right.
Right.
But it could be.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, when we're talking about assault and we're talking about defenses for assault, let's say, you have the right to defend yourself. And if you're justified in your defense, your reason for defense, and it doesn't matter if you use that pen or a toaster to defend yourself. If you're justified, you're justified.
Right.
Okay. So obviously, one of the very first things that I look at in an assault scenario is, was this person defending themselves?
Right.
Alabama has things like the Castle Doctrine and stand your ground law, which really come more into play, let's say, on things like shootings
Right.
in self-defense. All right. But, at the same time, you have a right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you needed to defend yourself, if that was the type of defense you needed, then you're justified. So you take a guy like me, let's say, bigger guy, and a 90-pound woman slaps me. Okay, I don't have the right to then take, a tire tool to defend
Right.
myself.
Right.
All right, that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
Use of force.
Yeah.
But let's turn it around and let's say that it's a 90-year-old woman on a walker, and I push her, which would have been assault or harassment, right? But to her, it's a deadly force encounter because if she falls and she breaks her
Yeah.
hip. So the number one answer in law school to questions that you see on the bar is, it depends.
Yeah.
So all of these kinds of scenarios go into setting up a proper defense.
Yeah.
And obviously, the earlier I get involved,
Yeah.
the quicker I can get the information, the evidence, the discovery, the quicker I can start work on your case and get it disposed of.
Yep.
All right? Going back to assault first degree is by using a deadly or dangerous instrument and causing serious physical injury. Okay? So an assault first is more serious than an assault second more serious than assault third, and harassment, the same
Essentially
kind of
the same thing.
Just think of the kind of injury or the weapon used.
It's really interesting. There's so much nuance to it.
So much. And again, when my car breaks down, I don't take it to my dry cleaner.
People need to come to you.
You got to come to me because I look at the law
Yeah.
5 dimensions.
Yes.
And it's chess, not checkers.
Well, and you've kind of touched on this already, but what are some common defense strategies that you might use in an assault case?
Well, okay. We did touch on stand your ground
Right.
and self-defense, but there's another one. Mutual combat. Now, this is going to seem kind of weird. But I'll do anything for my clients, and I have seen it all, okay, between my years in law enforcement and 15 or so years, at the bar.
Yeah.
It's kind of embarrassing, but okay, I'll leave the names to protect the innocent.
Okay.
It was a domestic situation where there was a lot of slapping going on,
Okay.
and woman calls the police. Police come, see red marks on her face. They weren't there to see what happened. The law lets them make a misdemeanor warrantless arrest. They arrest the guy. The guy's got marks on him too. And they arrest the girl. They go, I don't know who did it, but you're both gone. We're gonna take you to jail because we're not gonna let this get out of hand tonight. I won't tell you which one I defended,
Okay.
but that's not the point. The point
Okay.
is when I got there for defense, neither one wanted to press charges against the other. So when the cops came, the law let them arrest both of them because it's like, we're not going to let a killing happen with this, right?
Right.
So the defense that I used was, well, Your Honor, you see, this is kind of foreplay for this couple. They like the slapping, the pushing, and all of that.
Interesting.
Now, it worked because mutual combat.
Yeah.
See, it's not a crime if they ask for it.
Okay.
So, doesn't happen in all cases, but I had to bring that particular one because I think outside the box. I hate that term, but I think 5-dimensionally, okay? I
Yeah.
think about not just the here and the now and the what if, but the future and what could be.
Right.
So I call all of that the 5 dimensions
Right.
that I think in. But it actually was the truth, and it worked out, and charges were dismissed.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I know it's weird, but
What?
it happens.
Unexpected, but if
Oh,
it
yeah.
works, it works, right?
If it works, it works.
So let's go back around to something that you said earlier about the intent. How does that factor into whether someone is charged with something and what they're charged with? Talk to me about that a little bit.
Okay, so let's say, let's say you're at an Alabama football game, okay, crowded venue, and you're walking around and you accidentally bump into somebody, okay, and knock them down. Did you intend to do that? Okay, that's yet to be seen.
Yeah.
That's a consideration. Now let's say you're at that same venue and you intentionally push someone out of the way, all right? That's the intent. But here's what's so crazy about not only Alabama law, but what our legal system is based on, which is English common law. Intent can be formed in an instant.
Right.
So you may not have any intention to have done that, but the district attorney, the city prosecutor, they may try to build it to where you formulated that intent to do just what you did in an instant.
Right.
So everything is situationally dependent.
Yeah.
Remember, it depends.
Right.
So again, the advice is, if you're charged with these kinds of things, shut up and lawyer up. Be a gentleman, be a lady, don't be a jerk, don't resist arrest. You may spend the night in jail. Remember, we are looking at a long-term solution, not a temporary fix that only worsens your situation.
Right.
Okay? Don't say anything. Be polite. Just say, hey, look, on advice of counsel, my lawyer, Eric Fine, said, I really don't need to say anything.
Yeah.
And just shut up and lawyer up and let me handle it. Don't take tools out of my toolbox to defend you.
Right.
Because we cannot unring a bell if you say something and now we're committed to that story.
Right.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Shut up and lawyer up, and we'll come up with our strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Common sense.
Let you come into it. You're the
Let
one
me
that
handle
knows,
it. This
you
is
know,
what I do.
Yes, you're the one that knows what you're doing.
Right.
So talk to me about a story or two where maybe you've already given us one story, but maybe where some quick legal action had a big impact on the outcome. Like someone called you quickly when something happened and you were able to jump in.
Okay. At a more serious level, all right? There was a situation where I had a client who was a bouncer at a bar, and he had an issue with a patron who got a little bit out of hand earlier in the evening, and he had removed that patron from the bar. Closing time comes. Bouncer gets in his car and he's driving on the interstate. Next thing you know, this car is following behind him. Well, yeah, you guessed it right. And it was the guy that he had removed earlier that had been seething and stewing in his juices, so upset over being embarrassed and removed.
Yeah.
So my client was trying to drive in a safe fashion. This is 2 a.m. in a northern county in Alabama. This guy tries to run him off the road, and then at an overpass gets in front of him and puts his car across the roadway and blocks him and causes my client to stop. The guy got out of his truck and was coming at my client with a knife.
Oh my goodness.
My client tried to retreat. He had no duty to retreat according to Alabama law, but he didn't want to start anything. He was just doing his job before.
Sure.
And he had to use a firearm. He had to use deadly force. Thank God no one was even hit.
Yeah.
All right? And it stopped it. Well, next thing you know, the guy who pulls the knife, he's the first one to call the cops saying this guy, so he's leading his narrative, right? Nobody's around. There's no witnesses. There's 2 people. There's this guy and my client, right? They arrest my guy for attempted murder.
Oh.
Okay? And his bond is high. He spent like 10 days in jail.
My goodness.
Okay? Calls me. Long story short is we went to court. When he called me, I immediately started getting all of the information that I needed, especially on the guy who had attacked him, drawing the knife. And we're able to work this out with the district attorney's office, who, to their credit, would listen to reason and dismiss the charges and let him go. So the quicker you call, the quicker I can get involved.
Yeah.
And, this is something that, he's just doing his job.
Of course.
This guy was not a bully by any sort, but the guy that got thrown out, that alcohol gave him a lot of liquid courage, let's just say. And because he got to the police quick, that's what happened to him. Okay, my client gets arrested, but because my client got to me, I got that handled.
Yeah.
And he goes on with his life.
That's great.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for telling us all about this. Lots that I didn't know, probably a lot that a lot of people watching didn't know. So if you are facing charges in Alabama related to assault, related to DUI, anything like that, you need to be talking to Eric Fine at Patriot Law. He has all kinds of experience in law enforcement and the military, and now works as a lawyer protecting people's rights. So give him a call if you need him. Eric Fine, Patriot Law Firm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ann, for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.